Hi everyone, Edna Kimble, Edna Sells. Welcome to my podcast, How to Real Estate. Okay, so today we're going to talk about questions that a buyer should consider prior to getting in the car with the realtor and looking for a home. So first thing, they should determine what type of loan they're actually getting, and that would start with a local lender pre-approving them for the loan. And that loan is going to give them some perimeters. It's going to let them know what type of closing costs they're going to need, who's going to need to pay it, what type of down payment that they're going to need, and then also, as I'd mentioned, the perimeters of the loan. If you're getting a VA loan, there's certain guidelines within that loan that the home has to meet minimum standards. So for example, if you're getting a government-based loan like a VA loan, you can't call your realtor and ask to see the home that's listed as handyman special fixer-upper. That won't work for the type of loan that you're getting. So starting with the type of loan, knowing what you're dealing with is really important. The second thing that you want to do is, as I've mentioned, find out what your closing costs are going to be. Closing costs can somewhat be negotiated with a seller, but in this unique market that we have right now, sellers are really not very negotiable. So if your lender tells you that your average closing costs are going to be around $8,000, then at that point you need to figure out if that is in your budget and you have those funds to bring to closing. Also, down payments. Down payments are also something that your lender will tell you up front. If those are required to be paid out of pocket, can be negotiated with the seller, or there's actual gift funds and there's bond money through government entities, or you can have a family member or friend gift you the money. Now, there's all kinds of rules and regs with that. So again, that's why we always start with the lender so that we really truly understand what your guidelines are. The other thing, when you're going out to start shopping, you want to take into consideration what is the house payment that you're most comfortable with. What we see a lot of times is the lender may pre-approve you for, say, $200,000. But if you're not comfortable with an $1,100 a month payment, then probably you don't want to spend the $200,000. So be sure that when you get your pre-approval letter that you truly understand what you're committing to, and ask the lender how much would the monthly payments be on this, and do those monthly payments include taxes and insurance? Because if you use an online mortgage calculator and it tells you that your principal payment, monthly payment, will be $1,000, please be mindful that that does not include taxes and insurance. So you could add an additional $500 easily, $250 for taxes a month, $250 for homeowners insurance, $250 for homeowners insurance could easily be added on top. So now, instead of having a $1,000 a month payment, you have a $1,500 a month payment, and maybe you're not comfortable with that. Again, just because you're pre-qualified for it doesn't mean that you should necessarily do it. You know what your budget is better than the mortgage specialist. The other items that you want to think about is the area that you're looking in. Are there HOA fees? That's homeowners association fees, and those can be added on top where you have to pay them yearly. There's a few out there that you pay them monthly or even quarterly or twice a year. So HOA fees are to the housing authority that oversees the neighborhood. And I've seen those be as high as $1,200 a year. So again, that's adding $100 a month. That's going to be something that you are going to have to come up with and pay. So these are questions that you want to have a good understanding of prior to going into contract on a home. And they're all questions that can be answered very simply once you have your pre-approval and you have determined what realtor you want to work with. These are questions that are all standard. You're not being difficult by asking them. And if you are working with a realtor who doesn't seem to know those answers, then you might want to take a step back, do a little bit more research, and move forward with someone who is more knowledgeable about your area. Once you determine a couple of homes that you do want to view, it's not unusual to then drive the neighborhood, look at drainage issues, find out about the school systems. Those are things that as a buyer you would need to do the research on. Now, it doesn't cost anything, but it can cost you in the long run if you don't like the answers after you purchase the home. So even though it's not an actual monetary fee, it could cost you in just your personal acceptance of the property if you don't like the way the answers came out. So once it's closed, it is your home. So these are things that you do want to research. Now, once you've determined which home you want to make an offer on, you're going to ask to review the property condition disclosures. And that disclosure is going to tell you about any previous known defects or repairs. And it's important for you to take that into consideration because those items could come back and cost you again in the future if they weren't taken care of properly. So when you're trying to determine your budget, it's really important that you look at each one of these individual areas and see how could this affect me on my monthly budget, and can I truly afford the homes that I'm looking at? So those are questions that as a buyer you should review and look at with your realtor. And be sure to hire a local realtor and a local lender, and you're going to save tons of money and frustration because you will have someone who knows the market and can help you out. Hope that helps. Thanks, everyone.